I just want to preface this video with this is not going to be a video on like how education should be changed or how like we should teach our children to solve the literacy crisis. This is for people who have already been through school or are currently going through school. It's not a video about changing the system. It's a video about changing yourself. Okay, so today's subject is the literary crisis. I've seen a lot of videos on this and articles, whatever, and none of them do much for me because I've never been one to purely seek enjoyment from just like factual information being thrown at the board. But I'm gonna give you a few facts to preface the video. So 21% of adults are lacking basic literary skills and 44% are reading below a sixth grade level. This separates us, as we often see, as a peoples. So the bottom 90% is becoming increasingly illiterate, and the top 10% is maintaining their proficiency in literary skills and overall like intellect. So that's the last statistic I'm gonna give you. Why does it matter, right? What does this mean for us? That's what like truly matters here, not the numbers. As we have feared with the rich, right? This 10% number, right? That taking over of the rich, right? That's normally what we think of. You know, we look at the graph, we see the rich is way, 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 way up here, and at this point, the middle class is a millionaire, which is terrifying if you look at it at a graph scale, right? It's insane. It's mind blowing. That you're probably closer to somebody like Donald Trump in like money than Donald Trump is to Elon Musk, you know, like by a significant amount. Put it into perspective. The issue that we're facing now is the same type of thing with literacy, right? Where now, what stops that bottom 10%, that top 10% from using their intellect in wrong ways, using their literacy skills in wrong ways. So when everyone is dumb and illiterate, they are easy to control, they are malleable, right? Neuroplasticity is a thing, guys. Now, this isn't necessarily a wrong thing, right? We have the idea of like the philosophy king from Socrates, right? Of this great king who's incredibly smart and well-read, and but he has perfect ethical beliefs, perfect morality. He puts the public best as his number one. But this gets bad when we have somebody with ill intent who uses essentially our stupidity to their advantage. What we must do is we must read even if we hate it. We must write even if we hate it. We must educate ourselves even if it takes a considerable amount of time, even if it takes pain, like mental pain, right? This is a hard thing to do. You know, this isn't, the average person doesn't even think about their intellect. They don't think about their education very much past high school, you know? We have to become that 10%, right? Because if we do not become that 10%, we are going to be used, in my opinion. We are going to be molded into whatever that particular person thinks that we need to be, right? And what is free will, right? If free will even exists, then we definitely don't have it in that situation. Our free will is being persecuted, you could say. So I don't think that I'm in that 10%, right? But let's start with Cambridge, right? They read a book a week, right? So I think we should be doing the same. I think you should choose a subject, one that is both a field and an endeavor, right? So science, math, philosophy, you get the point. Read a book a week on that topic. And if that's really hard for you, separate it in some way, right? What I like to do is I will put a movie on, and every scene, I know this is kind of obsessive, every scene I will read a chapter, right? And I did it with The Social Network, and I ended up reading 60 pages in 3 hours. Took an extra hour, right? And I enjoyed the movie, I enjoyed the book, right? And honestly, like my whole life, I did not enjoy reading until I understood very simply the only thing that is stopping you from enjoying reading is being good at it, right? There's a direct correlation towards people who are good at reading and people who like reading. They go together perfectly, like PB and J, right? So that's all you need to do, really, is you need to force yourself to read. You need to force yourself to be educated, because if you don't, then you're not going to be that 10% and you're going to be used. Your choice. I mean, this isn't a for sure thing, right? Maybe it won't happen, but I see this being a severe issue, right? In the future, I really do think it will be. And then I would say free thinking, as I talked about in the last video. Go on a walk every day, just a walk alone, no music, no nothing, hood up, walk, in a safe place, please. And then lastly, try writing about one subject of interest in a few paragraphs at least once a month. If this seems like too much, then take any one step and just do that one step, or don't do it at all. You don't have to, obviously, but I'm telling you, it's going to be good for you. You know what I mean? When you enrich your intellect, you enrich your soul, you enrich your being, you are overall better. There's no, I mean, there's maybe some harmful side effects, but I mean, I'm not a firm believer in, because ignorance is bliss, we should be ignorant. That doesn't sit well with me. I would also like to say we cannot have democracy. We cannot have a true democracy if it is not for a intellectual populace, right? We need a populace that is intellectual, to make choices out of their own volition, but with a good amount of knowledge, right? You can't just have people who don't know anything about the world deciding what happens in the world, right? It's basic, right? So now we're talking about our state, our where we live, right? So you need to be that 10%, honestly, in my opinion, right? I need to be that 10%. I would like to be that 10%. And I'm going to do everything in my power to become that 10%. Now, off of political gain, you have an increased memory via neural pathways, right, being opened from reading, an increased vocabulary due to reading and understanding new words, and even in cases of story-based reading, some increased empathy for your fellow kinsmen, right? When you're reading a book about somebody going through something, you will have an increased empathy for people around you who are going through the same thing, or just an overall understanding. So I see no other way. The path to intellect is uphill, but there's gold to pick up on your way, right? There's value in the climb. So do not be sedentary in your ways. No. Get up, because there's a door right in front of you. A whole other world through your eyes and fingers, every page you turn.